I purchased this faulty PS4 off of eBay for a grand total of £60. That roughly equates to about $80. The listing states that it's a 500GB faulty Sony PS4. The white light comes on, but there's no display on the TV. They've stated that the seals aren't intact, it has unknown history, and there may be other faults. I don't know what this mark is on the actual console itself, but what I do know is that the HDMI port itself seems to have some pins missing or severely dislodged, is what I would say. Let's take the console apart and investigate further. I luckily managed to snipe this on eBay. I tried to fix my first ever PS4 in the last video that you would have seen, but I wasn't able to. For testing purposes, I'm just going to make sure that the console actually turns on and that we haven't been scammed. I'm not going to put a HDMI cable in because I don't want to damage the cable that I've got. I just wanted to make sure that this console turns on, and like I would have said in the last video, I want this to go to a white light. The blue light means it's doing all of its checks. The white light will mean that it's actually turning on and fully functional, as far as I'm aware. Well, the bad news is that it's not turning to a white light, even though the listing states the white light comes on but no display to TV. Like, this has been a blue light now for a couple of minutes and I've just sat here waiting for it to turn to a white light. Is it maybe because I don't have the HDMI cable in? Now again, probably pretty stupid of me to put the HDMI cable in. Because I don't work on PS4s, I don't know whether it has to have a HDMI plugged in to be able to turn into a white light. And if this seller is telling me that it turns to a white light, I want to believe them. First things first, I'm going to put some pressure on the APU and see if that turns it into a white light. If it does, this will be going straight back to the seller. I'm holding down the APU and I have a white light. If I let go, does it still stay a white light? This is what was meant to happen last time in the last video. So if I turn this off now, if I now go to turn it back on, do we get another blue light, or does this go into a white light because I've already put the pressure down on the clamp? Who knows? Okay, so it turns into a white light, and that's because I've just been putting pressure on the APU that now turns white. I want to return the PS4 and be like, look, I had to press down on the APU to get a white light, but I also want content and a good learning experience by changing out a HDMI port. So I'm trying to weigh it up. We'll go with the port change. I can also tell someone's been in it before because those little metal tabs that are usually at the power supply here, they're gone. And obviously the warranty stickers were removed as well. So somebody has clearly been in this PS4. Whoa, can you guys see how much the chassis is bent here? What has happened? Look at all of this. Someone looks like they've had a fight with the PlayStation. What's going on? We're going to inspect the HDMI port that's here already and see that has clearly been worked on before. What on earth? I'm guessing they soldered these two bits together for like increased strength, which is, I guess, fair enough. But it just looks ugly, you know? There's a better image of the port broken, as you can see at the end. We're about to go under the scope to look at these pins, man. Wow. First of all, let's remove this thermal pasta. Right here, let's take this port off. Add some flux. I'm going to try and make the board as warm as possible because I don't want to rip any traces on the other side. So I'm going to go with a temperature of 460 degrees Celsius and an airflow speed of 80%. Let's have a look at the real extent of the damage, shall we? Let's see what's going on. There was so much solder, man. It looks like whoever it was has scraped away the mask, the green mask here, just to ensure that the joints are super strong with the port, which again, I don't think is a bad thing. Let's see the damage, shall we? What do we have? How many missing pads? Okay, I think we actually have one missing pad, to be honest. And I believe it's this one. Tell you what I could do. I could just grab the port and confirm, right? You can see it on the left. Yeah, there it is. The state of this port, though, like, it's really crooked and stuff, you know? But you can see on the left here, that's where the pad has been ripped off. Let's clean up this side as well. The approach I'm thinking for this specific port swap is preparing the pads that we've got here under the port, just by tinning them up with some solder, heating the board up, dropping this on, securing it in place like that, filling in all the ground holes, and then afterwards I'm thinking about sorting out the damaged traces, because then I can just solder to this pin and this pin. I need to do a quick bit of research because I'm pretty sure that this pin we obviously need to solder to this line here, but with this pin I don't know if it's shared with the pin literally next to it. I don't think this one where I'm pointing to is ground. These ones are ground that are on this big pane here. I'll have to do a bit of research into this one. For now, let's get the port on. I don't know if the pins have taken to the board, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that they are. The reason I say that is because the port's quite solidly put on, but for me it just didn't look like they soldered together, if that makes sense. I am probably going to have to go over these with a soldering iron one by one, but I'm just going to make sure that all the pins are solid to start with. Let's have a look and see if these are on the board. So I'm just giving them a nudge test. Yeah, that one's not going to be because it's not got anything connected to it. Yeah. No, because it's not connected to anything. Yep, and yep. Nice! That was my first ever attempt at using hot air to put a port onto a board on a PS4. Now just a quick check for continuity before we run the jumpers. I just want to make sure that we are definitely all good. Hopefully none of these pins are soldered together. No, none of them together either. Nice, okay. Now we're going to scrape back the solder mask down here. I've always seen people run it from down here. Just gonna add some solder to this little via here. A bit of flux. A tad of flux just on this pin. Just apply a tad of solder to it. Tad to tad, tad to tad. I've switched over to slightly thicker wire because I think the one that I'm using is a bit too thin. What I can see is that a couple of these, like you can see here, that this, I think that trace is exposed. So what I need to do is just put that around about there, and I'm gonna have to cover that up with conformal coating because otherwise it's gonna short out with the other ones. It's a bad soldering job here. Like I should have tried to solder it like up like that a bit more, I guess. That's I need to clean up that solder blob there. That's horrendous, man. Wow, it's definitely shorting with the other pin. Cool. Oh, it's fallen off. I knew that was too easy to be true, man. I tell you what, it's so difficult. It just makes you realise how talented people really are. I say that every single time. I think that's a bit better. I'm going to go in with the multimeter and just check that it's definitely not touching the pin next to it. No, it's not. That's really good. I'm happy with that. This one's still not. This one's still not. This one's still not touching. That's because my pins were touching a second ago. These two, nope. And just to make sure this one's going to this one. Sweet. Okay, good. Okay, so after confirming, and as you can see that all these pins look fairly solid, I don't think, after checking with the coder, aka Phil, I don't think it's worth me putting any more solder onto these pads because I'm scared that I might put too much solder and then burn away plastic, etc, etc. I mean, every single one of these looks so. That's not on, is it? Is it? I don't think that's on that pin. I mean, we could put it down with some conformal coating, but I think I need to put that back on better. That one's not moving, and neither is this one at the end as well. I just think that trace wire needs a little bit more securing, to be honest. That's a bit better. If I can just grab it and then put it on, we're on to a winner, I think. I think that's it. I think that's on. I think we're looking good. Just going to move it again to make sure. Yeah, it's moving with it. Nice. I'm going to straighten out the wire and just put some conformal coating on it to make sure that it stays in place. Just like that, I think, in that position. It's a nice thick bit of conformal coating. Nice. Phil has also confirmed. You can check out his channel in the top right hand corner of the screen now, because he helps me out with such silly questions and he doesn't have to. So make sure you check his channel out. This pin here, number 14, which is 14 from the right. So if we take pin number 1 from here, that's pin number 14, 6 from the left. We don't need to worry about it, which is ace. So I can put this console back together and we can test to see if this is working or not. I do need to fill in the ground holes at the back though, that's for sure. Just a quick look at the job we've done today. And those pins are solid, by the way. Brought flat to the ground, lovely. Now I know that they aren't the shiniest joints in the world, but I can't help join them because the copper in between is exposed. They had to kind of go like that. You can see that the solder hasn't really gone through this side, so I'm going to put some hot air on the other side and just make sure that it flows through. As you guys just saw, when I was trying to push the solder through the ground holes here, I actually nudged the HDMI port and it all came loose. So all these connections are now loose again because I'm an absolute moron. And what I decided to do was sleep it off, and I'm now trying very early the next morning. My plan is to heat the board from underneath, which is here, push this back down, and hopefully we can get it in some sort of alignment. The trace repair pin, which is here, is like loose. It's not attached to the pin, so I'll need to redo that, but my current focus is just to ensure that these pins are all back down on the board, which they aren't. They're all loose. Look, if I just tap them, you can see that they're all loose. Look. Question is, how are we looking now? No, the pins are still loose. I've done nothing. The pins are sort of flat as well, so I think we're going to be okay just to solder them. This obviously now isn't as pretty as what it was before, but that's fine. So I'm going to solder each pin real quick. I'm going to try that way. Just want to make sure they're not all connected. They're all pretty solid, except the one that obviously doesn't have a trace, which is the 6th one in from the left hand side, or pin number 14. But I just now need to check that none of them are touching. These two are. So we need to sort them out. It was these two. They're all good now. They're good. Those two are touching. That's actually on, that one. That's good. These two in the middle are touching. I need to sort that out. But everyone else looks okay at the moment. At the moment being the key thing. There is burnt plastic, but the burnt plastic is rather to the top of the plastic. So you can see it's fine. It's not towards the bottom, which is causing out shorts. It's just a little bit at the top. Should do it. They don't look like they're touched anymore. They could be though. They could be. I might need to actually bend the pin a little bit. Okay, they're fine. These two, fine. Oh no, those two are ground. That's why it's beeping. But these two, man, they're fine. I need to make sure that this pin here is connected to. Yeah, it is. Nice. That's a result as well. So that's all connected up. So I think we go with one more clean, then we put it back together and see if we're good or not. This isn't the tidiest job in the world, but I mean, when you look at it from this angle, it's a bit better. This angle still looks okay. And then we put it down to this angle, and because of the plastic over the top, I feel like it doesn't do it justice. But the first one that we've done, in my opinion, was my best ever port swap because I used the hot air function and it worked really, really well. I'm just going to apply some more solder to the ground legs on this side though. I'm not trying to push it through the other side because I really messed it up last time. I'm just going to put some on this side as well. The back is still fine. It's still really big blobs. I actually need to clean that up really quick, so I'll do that now. Alright, this is final look. I'm about to put it back together and give it a test. Wish me luck. Here we go. I'm about to turn it on and give it a test. Just remember that if we don't get a white light, it's because the APU had a bit of an issue previously. If that's the case, I'll hold it down just to see if we get an image on the screen. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. It turns on. That is a success. Do we get an image, please? Come on. Well, do we get a white light first, I guess, right? We get the blue light of death, which means I have to take the casing off again and then push down on the APU and try again. Here we go again whilst holding down the APU. Show me some love. Come on, go to a white light. Please go to a white light. Okay, we have a white light. We have a white light, but unfortunately, we have nothing on the display. It's just a blank screen, just a black screen. All the pins were fine because all the pins were fine because I nudge test them. There were no bridges in between the pins because I checked with the multimeter. I've just checked this HDMI on another console, so I know that the HDMI itself, the cable is fine. I will give it one more check just to make sure I'm not being a moron. Whilst I'm doing that check, does anyone else know why I might not have any image on the screen if it's nothing to do with the HDMI port? Leave a comment down below. Let's check out this port. I've noticed that on pin number, I've got to work this out because this is number 1. So on 18 and 17, if I put one probe here and one here, you can see that I have a bridge. So I need to clear that up because they're on separate pads. Don't know if that's enough to remove it or not, but we'll check. Still get a bridge. Can't physically see anything there, so I'm going to put some more flux and I'm going to put some solder on it. Check now. There we go. All good. No short between this pin and this pin. Nice. Let's check this one, all good. I'm just going to double check them now. Take my word for it, they are all fine. And again, I'm just going to check and make sure that we have continuity from here to here, which we do. That's good. Let's put it back together. I'm just going to check it one more time. Seems okay. Wish me luck. Alrighty mighty. I know I might still get a blue light, but I'm gonna hold down on the APU. It's all plugged in, ready to go. You can see a black screen at the moment. Shut up, Joey. Let's see. Do we get anything on the screen? Please tell me that that was the only thing wrong with that HDMI port. No display. I thought it was gonna work that time. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I really thought it was gonna work. I have also just tried booting it into safe mode. Same thing. We go again. I think we have another slight problem, which is that this pin is a little bit wiggly, a bit too wiggly for my liking. See that? Way too wiggly. And that one. And that one. I think all of these need just a bit more loving, to be honest. Turning it on to test now. Still nothing. I'm not being funny. Am I missing a component here? Swapping this board out for the board that I had last week to find that we do indeed have a, I think that's a diode, and it's not on the other board. Look, you see there at the top, that top component, and we switch back to the other board. It's just non-existent. Just having a quick check to see if there's any other components missing, but it doesn't look like it on the face of it. So I'm going to steal a component from this board and put it onto the other board. So let's do that now. I need to put on some more conformal coating because this fell off. Now let's put it back together and test. If it's not this, we investigate more. Okay, here we go. Try number 17. I'm not going to look at the screen until I see a white light. Still nothing. We go again. This is back on the bad board, and what I'm slowly beginning to realise is that this shield that surrounds the encoder chip, as you can see, has like loads of solder around it, okay? Which isn't great. You can clearly see there's like evidence of flux all around it. And this is the other side as well. Look at this flux here. I don't know why I didn't clock this at the start. And the shield's obviously in quite bad condition as well. And when you look at it on the big camera, you can see like here in this corner that it's kind of like bent. This is a board that's never been touched before. And look at the state of this shield. It's perfectly in line, nothing's bent. There's a little bit of what looks like flux around here, but that's more than likely factory flux. I mean, look how sharp and smooth everything is. And you have this little lip here as well. Probably thinking, Joey, where are you actually going with this? Well, underneath this metal sheet is the HDMI encoder. Of course I took it off. Clearly this shield was definitely put back on at some point. I'm just going to clear some of this solder because there's so much of it. My first observation, I've never changed one of these before, so I don't know what way around this is supposed to go, but I know that the circle usually correlates to either an arrow on the board or a small dot. Now the only small dot I can see is where my soldering iron is now. It's like a copper dot. We have a copper square here, so I don't know if maybe the chip is meant to go this way, but I can't see anywhere else an arrow as to where, sorry, not where, but what orientation the chip is actually meant to be in. I actually have no idea if I've just hoovered up a component. No idea what's going on here. Is that a hole or is that just solder? Just checking all the connections to make sure that it's soldered on correctly. Yeah, I think that pin is on. Hang about, what's this bit of fluffed hair? Oh, that's the coil. To be fair, this looks like a factory encoder in my opinion. I'm concerned about these coils as well. I'm assuming they're coils. They might not be. I don't think that should look like that. Big shout out to both Jaden and Phil the Coder for helping me with these EMI filters. They work the exact same as the Nintendo Switch ones. So for example, if I have continuity going from the bottom to the top, that is good. However, I don't on this one. You can see that the coil is completely screwed. Whereas this one is fine. We have continuity on that side and this side, but we don't have it diagonally, which is the important thing, or side by side. Top to bottom, not diagonal, top to bottom, not diagonal, or side to side. So this one is the only one that needs replacing. I'm going to take this from the other PS4 that I couldn't fix last week. My only worry is that I don't know if it's made the encoder chip, which is this Panasonic big chip here, I don't know if it's made that go bust, in which case we need to swap that out as well. I do need to take the shield off of this. I was going to remove one of those filters, obviously take this one off that's broken. There we go, nice. Okay, do we get continuity? Yep, no side to side action, good stuff. Let's put it back together and test. Try number 38,000, still nothing. Right, 450 degrees Celsius airflow speed of 50%, and we're going to try and get this off. Take the other one off the other board and replace it. This is the encoder chip. My tweezers aren't big enough. Now to remove all the solder from these joints. No more flux and some solder. Board is all prepped, ready for transfer. And this is the hard part. I've done a nudge test for each pin and it seems to be a-okay. I just wanted to swap out this little filter down here as well because it just wasn't looking that great. Even though it was working and we tested for continuity, etc., it wasn't looking that great. Let's give it a test. This is the most nerve-wracking one. Still nothing. Worst part about it all is that the encoder was probably fine. I've just resoldered this little fella because it wasn't looking that great. It's still not looking that great in all honesty, but what I have checked is that there is continuity between here and I believe it was one of these pins, pin number 15, I believe this one, and we do have continuity, so that is all good. We're going to put it back together for one final test. Turn it on now. For reference, I did also check the fuses underneath the HDMI port. I believe there was two. I checked both of them and they both checked out fine as well. So I'm pushing down on the APU now, hoping for a white light. We get the white light. Do we get a display? It was fantastic practice. If you guys know what could be wrong, please leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. We will revisit this. Peace.